Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Unplugged. It is your man, B. Vaughn. Today, got an amazing guest. Once again, let me give y'all know how I do. I give an introduction to everybody, right? Got to give them their flowers. So today's guest is Shane Kidd. He's a hip hop artist known for authentic storytelling, sharp lyricism, and music rooted in the idea of renewing minds and renewing dreams. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas, Shane blends the grit of East Coast lyricism with the soul of Southern hip hop and the creativity of underground rap. His early project, Student of Life, and Learn to Live, established him as an artist focused not just on bars, which gotta have bars when you rap, but on purpose, using music to explore themes of self-discovery, struggle, and personal growth. After stepping away from music due to depression and writer's block, Shane returned with renewed clarity on his 2022 album, Good Morning, which actually is spelled morning like MOURNING, which charted on iTunes and peaked at number 38. His latest project, Underground Hope, continues that journey, inspired by the idea that hope has to be created every day. Throughout his career, Shane has collaborated with artists like Sho Baraka, K Drama, Mr. Reginald himself, and Dre Mary, and his, I don't know if I'm going to say your full name, Regis, on here, but I did. And his music has been featured on Spotify editorial playlists, including The Flow, The Blaze, and New Christian and Gospel, and Rapzilla, so ladies and gentlemen, give it up to my man, Shane Kidd. And as we were starting this whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I'm an R&B guy. I love R&B to death. I'm actually thinking about starting an R&B podcast, which I probably am going to start an R&B podcast, but because I just love R&B that much. But we were talking, y'all didn't get to see behind the scenes. We were talking about New Edition, and we were because I just got a whole bunch of albums. I got the New Edition album, Heartbreak, coming, and we were talking about whose version of Can You Stand the Rain did we like the best? Was it New Edition's original version, or was it Boyz II Men acapella version? I'm a huge Boyz II Men fan, but I still think the New Edition version was the best, just because we talked about the production of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the vocal harmonies of Ralph Tresvant and Johnny Gill, and just the musical composition and the way it felt, and just the drums with it, and yes,
Jimmy Jam and Terry, they did an iconic job with that project overall, and especially Can You Stand the Rain?
Yes, and it took me some time to actually see the New Edition, the movie, right? It took me. I didn't even know they had one at first.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, oh, let me go watch this. But when they got to the Can You Stand the Rain part, I think I watched that part like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, well, yeah.
I was like, wow. Because Luke James did his thing as Johnny Gill. He did his thing as Johnny Gill.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. But so I love Boyz II Men, but I still think the New Edition version is amazing.
Again, I'm going to contend for Boyz II Men's version, just in their vocal performance and just how well Wanya and Sean and the rest of them are as singers. It's a great performance, and one of those things that stands out to me about it is just, as I said, vocally, it's like such an experience, and so it doesn't take away from the original.
I don't think so either.
It is just that recognizing, okay, which, interesting enough, it's like it was actually Mike Bivins from New Edition that discovered Boyz II Men. So It's like it's all just
it was a homage.
Yeah, just all connection.
That's right.
So,
yeah, but I do. Both of them versions is amazing. I have every Boyz II Men album. Every song they've ever made.
Yeah.
Every song that's been on a featured album, another project, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they know.
Okay.
Sean and them know. I used to sing too. People, y'all, I don't do that no more. But and whenever we sang Boyz II Men, I was Sean.
Okay.
I was Vaughn, but I was Sean, right? So when he said, like in Thank You in Advance.
Yeah.
When he said, "Hi, my name is Sean."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Hi, my name is," but I was a teenager. Well, yes. Yeah, so I would always replace Sean with Vaughn. So I was like,
dope.
Yeah. But I always sang a lot of Sean's parts when I was growing up. But man, look, so I'm gonna kick off this interview with this.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a project, and the project is called, because I was doing some texting
Mm-hmm.
recently. You had a project, and on this project, you had a song called, I think was it on Student Life or Learn to Live? But the song is called Learn to Live.
Oh, Learn to Live. So that's, yeah. If you're talking about the actual song, that's
Yeah.
on my first album, Student of Life.
Okay. So Student of Life. You had a gentleman on there
Mm-hmm.
by the name Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay,
my man right
yes.
there.
Oh, wow.
Fitz is my guy, bro. That's
small
yes.
world.
Fitz. So I texted him. I was like, "Yo, Fitz, you know somebody named Shane Kidd?" He was like, "Yeah, we did a project like a while ago."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Fitz is my yeah. So I'm from St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So
That
Fitz
ma-
is
yes.
Fitz
that-
is my guy.
Yes. Okay. Makes the sense
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, you know, Fitz. When I met him, he was in KC.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
With Due Season.
Yeah, and so
Yep.
yeah. Oh yes,
Yeah.
Due Season. Yes.
Yeah. Darnell called me the other day.
Yes. That
So,
is okay.
mhm.
You are taking it back. Things that
That's why I said
a world that if you know, you know.
Right. If you know, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. Ducey. Yeah. Darnell called me the other day. We chopped it. I hadn't talked to Darnell in man a while.
Yeah.
But I hit up Fitz and I was like, "Hey, I'm about to interview somebody named Shane Kidd. You like y'all did a song together?" But you're like, "You know what? Yeah, we did."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, small world, right?
Yes.
Because all of my people back in St. Louis did all Christian hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So JR,
Okay.
Nab,
Yeah.
Flame,
Yes.
Jason, Future,
Oh,
Dizzle.
yeah. Yes.
And who else am I forgetting?
I'm like Jason. Did you say?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, you said Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
And then, and then, oh yeah, and then I think there was. Let's see, who do I remember? Who else I remember from that St. Louis crew? Let's see. It was a girl named Trouble.
Yeah, Trouble.
Yeah.
Yep. Trub. Yep. Trub and Don.
Yes.
Yep. We went. Me and Don. We used to go to the same church.
Oh wow.
Jay. Me and Jay used to go to the same church.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of singing. They did a lot of singing for background for JR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a St. Louis guy. So when I saw you did a song with Fitz, I was like, "Hi, hey, look at that."
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, and then of course, Show Baraka, because Courtney or JR and Show Baraka had a group together.
Yeah.
And I know Regis or
yeah.
Reginald. Okay, Drama. I guess I'll.
Using the government here.
Yeah, I know, government name, right? That when I first met him, that's all I used to call him.
Yeah.
So, hey, you can't blame me. But that was all I used to call him when we first met. But I first met Show Baraka and K Drama at Flavor Fest.
Okay. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. Again,
many years ago.
Yeah, Flavor Fest. Like, that's an experience. And
I was gonna wear my Flavor Fest shirt because I had
nice.
I had like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, because there was a time like they had like the old classic building that everybody that was like iconic in the early 2000s, and now they have the bigger building at the church now. It's like
Yeah,
I've been a couple times since then. It's like it's still definitely something worth artists going to.
Yeah. It ain't the Flavor Fest I remember though. I'm just gonna say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like when Urban D used to have it at the old building with the bus outside, and we all was just and they had the annex building that was over there. Yeah. So you know DJ I Rock Jesus?
Yeah, I've met him a couple.
I met him a couple times too. He just shout out
to him.
Yeah, rest in peace to DJ I Rock Jesus. So I want to make sure he was a super cool dude, man. Super cool dude.
Yeah.
But man, talk about your background, man. Talk about what got you, where'd you grow up? Of course, Dallas.
Yeah.
What got you into music? I'm interested in your background.
So let me see where to really start. So obviously I'm originally from Dallas. Specifically, I was born in Fort Worth, raised in the Arlington area. So for those who know like Dallas, they definitely know what I'm talking about, and even a few people around the way they know. And so I initially got into music around high school, or at least like the rapping piece. It's like I initially middle school was in band, played trumpet, didn't stop playing trumpet in high school because I did not want to do all the busyness of marching band and all that stuff,
Yes.
and I regret every bit of it. And
Mm.
so yeah, and so got into rapping, just like being around my friends that all of them rapped, and so it's like I just began to pick it up. I kept on going at it, kept on continuing at the craft, and really found enjoyment in it. And so that's when it became a little more serious to me, where it's like I'm creating music, I'm going
Mhm.
to release music, and so yeah, student life came from just like really relationships that I've built from being in the community I was part of. So around that time I was in college, University of North Texas. So there was a community of folks around there. So this is how I got to meet Show.
Mhm.
And this is what, in meeting Show, met Lecrae, Tadashi, all
Mhm.
of them at
Yep.
that season of life. And so that began to like help shape in who I was as an artist then. And in the midst of that, that's where student of life came from. And so even just like some of the relationships that come from that. So of course, as you mentioned, Show, and then since you did mention Fitzgerald, Fitzgerald, you probably knew Dylan Chase, who
Mhm.
was also on the same label
Mhm.
as he was at that time. And so yeah, so Dylan was another person I got to build with, and then K Drama was very pivotal to the project just because he like mixed and mastered the
Mm.
album and everything, and he did production on there. So Psalm 86, Build Up, those were his productions, and of course he featured on one of the songs, Hallway Journeys. And so it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Definitely, I, I'm definitely strong on giving him his flowers in this
Mhm.
aspect of it. It's like I recognize it's like there was a lot of opportunity in just supporting me in that season of life and how I started off as a hip hop artist and just starting off as specifically a Christian hip hop artist because of being very vocal about my faith
Mhm.
and being in a context where it's like that's what I wanted to really put at the forefront. And that's where my journey begins as an artist, and that's where it began to I began to just evolve and grow as I am as a person. And so even that faith expression has grown and evolved in the sense of like, okay, what does it look like
Mhm.
to to still find trust, find belief as you get older, as you mature, because when you're younger, it's like you want those anthems and you want those things that are like very big and strong. And as you get older, you realize it's like, I'm not looking for the 1, 2, 3 jump song and everything like that. Like that. It's like
Right.
it's nice to have every now and then.
Mhm.
But it's like I want something that speaks to me, that speaks to like my life experiences. And so
Mm.
yeah, that's just kind of like the evolution of who I've become as an artist.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, that's what's up. Being around a community of people to, especially in a world where you profess Christianity as your belief system,
Mhm.
and in a world where you are trying to position yourself as an artist.
Mhm.
I mean, because when you really think about it, I mean, you were doing Christian, still doing Christian rap, right?
Mhm.
No, yes or no?
Yeah. Yes, and
Yes and no.
yeah. It's one of those interesting things. I'll never shy away from it in the sense of like, again, I am a Christian.
Hmm.
Now, I don't make again, I don't make my music exclusively for to relate to Christians in
Hmm.
that sense. Is just because the fact of the matter is it's like as human beings, I feel like there are a lot of experiences
Yeah.
we're all going through similarly, and it just happens to be my faith happens to kind of be able to paint the lens of how I'm
Hmm.
seeing the world in the midst of this, in the midst of this situation that we all may have had similar experiences in, but we're also all looking for the same thing. We're looking for something better than these circumstances that we're existing in.
Hmm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the conundrum, right?
Hmm.
Is as a believer, do I make music that is only specific to the people who are in my own religious belief
Hmm.
ecosystem, or do I make music that I feel would communicate probably what those beliefs are, but that could reach everyone,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
In that, have you ever felt the pressure to water down your message or to conform your message or standards to fit into the industry?
Honestly, I haven't. It's one of those things I begin to recognize. It's like if you're in certain spaces, like if you're good at what you do, they're going to respect whatever you have to say.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was one of those things of like, I want to be great at this craft and be able to contextualize it well. And so, as one of my friends said, the more like when you know certain things, you're able to do certain things at a certain level. Like
Mhm.
if you know a little bit about flowers and you know a little bit about girls, you're able to make like a simple analogy of a girl being like a flower. The more that you know about the flower, the more that you know about women, the more that you're able to intertwine the two and create something that is very well crafted and intricate in a way that allow people to see something that shows something that can feel very transcended. And
Mhm.
so that is where even like me as an artist just began to really see that it's like, okay, if the things I know and the skill sets that I have can weave together in a way so intricately that you see that, yo, this this person knows what they're talking about.
Mhm.
This person is authentic. This person is a great lyricist. At the same time, they also believe in God. They also believe in God and they believe in Jesus and everything. It's like I can respect it, even if that may not be what I believe. I can still respect where you're coming from.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the things that I've experienced a lot, especially just because I think in this latter part of my career, it's in some aspects of it, it's like I've found myself in more non Christian spaces than Christian spaces. And
Mhm.
so it's like, and I've not necessarily shied away from using language that connects with that is a little more akin to if you're part of Christian spaces, you may know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And so just because I was like, I'm like, I've seen it, which funny enough, we were talking about Wu Tang. It's like they again,
Yeah, I know I
they're,
love Wu Tang.
again, they come from a 5% background and they've been able to talk about the supreme mathematics and all those things. And we see that all through hip hop, just Nation of Islam and all of those people have been able to use their slang, their vernacular, and through the spaces and still be respected on the
Mhm.
scene. And so I feel like Christians can do the same. I think because of certain things that Christians kind of like fight over, I feel like it's made it more difficult for people to navigate some of the idea of crossing over and
Mhm.
being into non-Christian spaces because of like I
What
different
does
ideas and
the
philosophies.
righteous have to do with the wicked?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
think about it from a biblical perspective, what does the light have to do with the dark?
Yeah.
You know, um, and so when you really think about it from that perspective, to say if you are doing music or if you're doing a particular
Mhm.
activity, then what does a person who professes faith in Christ have to do with someone who doesn't profess faith in Christ?
Mhm.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes there's probably some validity to that.
Mhm.
Maybe in some spaces, like, I mean, that's your ministry. I I doubt if that's your ministry, the strip club ministry, but I doubt that God will cause you to go into the strip club to preach. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. But but I yeah, because if you suffer from lust and seeing booty shaking, then you probably don't want to be in that environment. From that perspective, but
you might you might witness to the bouncer. I don't know.
Hey, you gonna let me in? Hey, I'm here to preach Christ to you and to the people in here. They're like, nah, man, you gotta go. But we ain't even trying to hear that. You trying to take away the money? Nah, bro. You tripping. You trying to be like Paul. And when that lady was like was it a witch? I think it was a witch. Yeah. Or a false prophetess or whatever. And Paul cast the demon out of her. And they were mad because they were like, you don't cost us this money. And we were making money off of her.
Yeah.
Fortune telling and doing all this stuff. And so now, Mr. Saul Paul, we gonna have to figure out how you gonna have to recuperate because that's our bread. And now you just cast it out. Like, and I get it from some aspects. I think anybody that probably struggles with the fact that we have this belief that in Christ that we have, and the understanding that there are, Paul says everything is what's the right word? Like permissible for me, but not everything is good.
Yeah.
Right. For me to, it may be permissible, but it ain't good. Right. Just because I can go say I can do, once again, that's the abusing of God's grace in that situation. But so there was a book I read called, actually, JR was the one who told me about the book. It was called Music Through the Eyes of Faith. Great book. If anybody out there struggling with, professing Christianity and working in an industry that doesn't profess Christianity, that kind of goes against, those biblical principles, it is a great book to read.
Yeah.
And you see examples of it in people like Zaytoven, for an example, who doesn't compromise his beliefs. I even think he said he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do any of those things. But of course, Zaytoven is one of the biggest producers in hip hop.
Yeah.
And he keeps to that standard. And I personally have come to recognize that if people know where you stand, they ain't really got nothing to say.
Yeah. Even like someone like Cleo Soul, I think I'm correct. She professes to be Christian, and so it's like a lot of people love her music and just like love her songs. And so it's something I believe is possible, and it is something that people can do. Even like a Toby Nwigwe, I think is someone who's, again, unapologetic about his belief in faith and is very respected in the industry, has worked with many artists and has still stayed true to himself. And I think it's one of those things. I believe it's possible. I think the tension comes in is like depending on it's like your faith background at times, because that can play a role in like how you believe you have to show up in certain spaces. Even for myself, like going back to 2010 me would look at 2026 me like, you are compromising.
2010.
Yes.
Boy, that we was cross movement. We were theocratic rule, right? We was no mingling.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's shoot. 116, we unashamed.
Yes.
Like,
and so
yeah.
So in that aspect of it, it's like, I get it if you come from a certain background where it's like, okay, this music serves this specific purpose of, it's like we are trying our best to make sure that people know our beliefs, and people are being centered around the Christian faith. And so like that's the best thing that we can do to make sure that people get this message. And in one aspects of it is like things I've learned from someone like from like a show is like even at that time when they were doing it, they didn't realize what they were getting themselves into. And one aspect of it is, which he's written about in his book, is like, we didn't know we were being set up to be mercenaries for a culture war. And and that aspect of it. So basically becoming the hired hands for white evangelicalism. And so which that's a whole topic.
That's a whole nother.
That's a topic in itself.
That's a whole nother topic. I mean, because and we can talk about some other things, but I mean, when you think about it, they hated Christian hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a genre that, I mean, it was a genre within the Christian world that people really felt heavily about, that it was not something that belonged in the church. Yeah. Right. And you have forerunners like gospel gangsters. You had, and each, St. Louis had their people, Philly had their people, right? Shout out to my guy, Mac the Doulos, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. But everybody had their thing. And then you had, people from Texas that were coming up, Lecrae, Shobaraka, Tripley, Tadashi. And then you had all the people out in California, Grits, Gospel Gangsters, and Tonal Rats, and all them dudes out. Shout out to my dude, Minister R&B, man. Jack, I thought about you, like, I don't know why, though.
That's a name I've not heard in years.
Well, like a while ago, man. I don't even know why. Yeah, I was really deep into...
Yeah. When you were saying that, I was like, so you were around for the G. Craig Lewis era then?
Yeah, I was really deep into...
Oh, my goodness.
Christian hip. I moved... So... I'm originally from Virginia, but I lived in St. Louis twice. And all my guys know that. But I moved back to St. Louis in 2008. Okay. And so that's when I really got hooked up with the local Christian hip hop scene that was there, Yeah. And it just, it was just something that exploded from that perspective. But here's the thing, though. You were talking about Wu-Tang Clan. You were talking about 5% as a Nation of Islam, and how they still had their faith and they still rapped in the secular world. Yeah. But there was the thing that happened in Christian hip hop is that we felt like we had to separate it, right? In hip hop, I think Lecrae probably said something like this, but I want to quote Lecrae, if it's incorrect, but I mean, hip hop is hip hop. Yeah. Right. So it's like, why can't I still be a believer, but still just do hip hop as Wu-Tang or Gangstar or Rakim, whoever those individuals who profess that belief system? Why can't it just be hip hop? Why do we have to segment it over into just gospel? And they probably because they didn't accept it as real. Yeah, like it was tough.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense, especially considering hip hop in itself. It had its own perspectives on Christianity, and I can see how that can already be a hurdle. And even like some of the stuff you mentioned is like, because as I mentioned, is like from what you said, it's like you remember G. Craig Lewis, Truth Behind Hip Hop, and all those things. So it's like Black churches weren't as accepting of hip hop as the people wanted it to be, and so which of course kind of puts those that are like wanting to be Christian and hip hop in a interesting conundrum of like, okay, where do we go? And then so it's like you begin to see like this white evangelical community begin to gravitate towards it because this can be a useful tool for us in this culture war that we're trying to combat. And so while we're going to take the fact that they have this zeal just to make the Lord known and leverage it for our advantage, and
and then we bringing back some memories with the Christian. I used to produce Christian hip hop, I produced on a whole different name. It was so funny is that there was a guy I interviewed years ago. I mean, years. It was had to be
Mhm.
5 years ago, probably. Um, his name is Well, I don't know if he still goes by Anatomy, but his
Mhm.
name was Anatomy.
Oh, hold on. Anatomy, like the
Yeah,
producer?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Anatomy.
me and him still talk and everything. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. So
Anatomy.
yeah.
Right. So, we were having a conversation after the interview,
Okay.
and I was showing him something on my computer, because I used to use Reason, and
Mhm.
in Reason I had a skin on the instrument with my old producer name on it, which
Uh-huh.
was Strict Nine Music,
Okay.
and he saw it. He was like, "Yo, wait a minute, you're Strict Nine?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yo, I know who you are." I was like,
Wow.
but I haven't used that name in
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
But but man, no, that was good to kind of reminisce a little bit about that. So you were talking about growing up in Dallas, being involved with that community there, getting into music. What were some of the most pivotal things that you were experiencing while growing up that kind of shaped the sound of Shane Kidd?
So, what really shaped my sound was interesting enough. I think it was really my older brother just like introducing me into hip hop because like things I remember like first hearing was like nothing but a G thing, and like that's always like I feel like that's always the first song I feel that my earliest memory is of. And why was I at that age listening to the Chronic? God only knows why. Which again, well, my brother was like 15 years older than me, so
Right.
give you some context. So it's like, yeah. So that's probably yeah, and that aspect of things. And I think as I got older, middle school, because again, my brother would put me on to like some of the OGs like KRS-One, which
Mhm.
that is when I learned of just like of hip hop being like a communication tool of like being able to like really drop knowledge. It's like I saw it as just entertainment back then and everything. It's like, okay, yeah, there's some people telling dope things, dope stories and all that stuff. And so KRS-One was like that person's like, oh, I could really, you can really drop knowledge with what you're saying. And then
Mhm.
I got into I really really got into Nas, got into Black Star, so Most Def, Talib
Mhm.
Kweli. That became like the things I gravitated towards at which was very interesting being from the South. It's like,
Yeah, I'm like
yes, yes. And so, yes, I loved Cash Money. Yes, I loved just like some of our local people. So I loved or at least like regional stuff like Texas Switcher House. So Chameleonaire,
Mhm.
Magnificent, Mike Jones, Paul Wall, all of them. It's like, yeah, I like them, but when it came to like MCing and everything, is like that's where I begin to really learn the craft from. It was
Mhm.
from those guys that kind of like begin to teach me like when it came to like rapping and rhyming and everything. And I do think that some people do underestimate the South in like lyricism because it's like it's one of those things where some of the accents, some of the ways, the cadences,
Mhm.
and everything can get in the way of like people actually like catching some of the things that are being done, especially just like with the South. I feel like it's very flow driven,
Mhm.
and it's not necessarily about these like all doing like these intricate rhyme schemes. It's about just this wit, this cleverness, and I
Mhm.
think that is also very much so the skill of emceeing. It's like that communication piece. It's like
Mhm.
it's it's not as impressive if not everybody can connect with it. It's
Mm.
like then basically you just become cannabis, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I think that's the thing too, because when you think about bars,
Hmm.
right, and you're thinking of like that's a new. Well, I want to say it's only a new, but I think when I think of like bars
Hmm.
in music, I'm thinking that's a New York style,
Hmm.
right? Like intricate rhyme schemes. The man, you mentioned KRS-One, right? That's knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. Like
Yes.
he will school you on. But it always killed me about KRS-One because he was like, "Yeah, the 9 of the mind, we coming to shine, and 9." And that's how he always used to rap to me. But
Yeah.
like, but it was always so dope. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like my favorite rap from KRS-One was on Self Destruction. But I mean, he did his thing with him, Boogie Down Productions and all that stuff. But yeah, you think about the origins of hip hop coming out of New York. You think about lyricism, wordplay. You really do think about, if I want to be excellent, careful how I say this, excellent at that craftsmanship of emceeing.
Yeah.
That was a trait you had to learn from the people that it originated from. I always yeah. And I'm a Virginia guy, right? Even though I'm by St. Louis, even as a Virginia guy, I was listening only to New York, East Coast rap. I didn't hear other music until I got into the Army and went to Louisiana. Then I heard a lot of South music.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's this?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, but again, that's back when
slanging and banging.
That was that regional, when hip hop was very regional and everything, and so which is why I think that regionalness did help me in the sense of like learning, like, okay, how do you connect to the people? How do you begin to just not just be able to say these dope lines, but also just have that wit, that cleverness. And so that is one of the things I remember, because again, back in high school, like definitely Chameleonaire was one of my favorites. And so, and another guy I liked out of that whole Houston area, which I wish he would have blown up, but instead Mike Jones blew up. So on that line where he says, like, who is Mike Jones coming? First round draft picks coming. Like, first round draft picks was him and Magnificent. That was their crew. So Magnificent was the better rapper to me. But Mike Jones knew how to basically put himself in a space. And I think there was some behind the scenes stuff that happened with Switcher House that he kind of just stepped back away from. So and that aspect of it. And so again, just recognizing that, but also just like some of the creativity of it. So even the evolution of who I become, comes from not just hip hop, but even just like neo soul, which it's always weird. It's always weird to say that, especially just since Raphael Sadiq just put out that whole tweet about how it was just used as a term. But it's like the age of the Soulquarians was definitely something pivotal to me, because that's that's when the second wave of Q-Tip and everything, because like I loved his stuff with Tribe, but it's like it also was my reintroduction to him, because it's like I knew Tribe, but I didn't. But when those albums were dropping, I was little, so getting reintroduced to him really influenced a lot of just like the artistry and everything. And so like when people like reference me like with certain influences, it's like you're close and everything. Because like I think a few times I've gotten like, I can tell you're influenced by Mos Def, which is like definitely I can see that. I can see Yasin. I would say even more so than that, it's like the person who influenced him, which is Q-Tip.
It's Q-Tip, yeah.
Because it's like
I mean, people forget Q-Tip was very influential in early hip hop.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. He produced a lot of stuff. Right. I mean, even though Jay Dilla was producing a lot, he produced still a lot of cuts back in the day. That's for like a lot of people. Like Q-Tip is no joke. Not just as an artist, but also as a producer. Yes. Let's not get it twisted now, right? I mean, Q-Tip is a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get twisted. So for you specifically, you came up with your project, Student of Life, Learn to Live. They already had strong messages behind it. Were you always intentional about the philosophy of, the philosophy behind your music, or was that just something that you just evolved in, as you were stating, listening to and growing and maturing with hip hop as it was?
Yeah, that definitely became something that became an evolution. So I think around Learn to Live, that's when it became part of it in that aspect of it, because it's like really thinking like who I am as an artist, because I think that is when I really make a big pivot with that album of like doubling down on who I am, because it's like because like with Student of Life, it was me trying a lot of different things and just seeing like what actually works for me. And when I realized it's like who I wanted to be, that's where
Mhm.
Learn to Live comes in. And so it's like that's where that whole philosophy of like renewing minds, redeeming dreams. It's like wanting to just be in that space of like, okay, there is something I want to do with the music. There is something I genuinely want to do with the music. Cause like I definitely want you to enjoy it. I also wanted to make you think, but I
Mhm.
also wanted to make you feel like feel this that sense of like, okay, you know, I'm not alone in this. I'm not, you know, basically that there is more out there for me in my life. And
Mm.
so that's where the whole like redeeming dreams part came from. It's like, cause I think a lot of us sometimes feel very lost and feel very hopeless. And one of the things, especially in my latter years, I've learned it's like, there's a lot of people that benefit and profit off of despair. And I
Mhm.
think the ability to dream again is definitely a very strong act of resistance in spaces where, okay, we can leverage your despair, your hopelessness, and all those
Right.
things.
Yep. Yeah.
But when you have a dream, you have something that's contrary to us. It's like that's an act of a resistance, and even just in
Mm.
our day and age.
Mhm. Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, that's I find that too. That we love to is it just in the black community
Hmm.
that this takes
I
place?
have no
Is it
idea.
in other
I
communities that this
again
takes place?
I speak to what I
I'm
know, and I am
thinking
black, so hey.
I'm thi Is it only in black
Uh,
communities that we feed off of despair and pain and struggle,
mhm.
and we profit off of it? I'll let y'all answer that in the chat, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of that same thing, for you, you talked about going through a period of depression
Mhm.
and writer's block. So, what did that period teach you about creativity and integrity and pressure as an artist?
I think what really it taught me is like there is a space of freedom that comes with the art
Mm,
and being able to express and communicate that, and being able to process like struggle and pain and all those things, cuz it's like at first it was like one of those things I'm like, after Learn to Live, so did shows, travel 20, I think 2015, well, into 2014, 2015. I was supposed to work on another project and I was just like, I can't do this.
mm,
I can't do this. It's like, and so I was like, I'm done. And it's like not realizing at the time, it's just like I was just emotionally exhausted at that time, and just having to, in one sense, pretend, working to be somebody that I thought I was supposed to be
mhm,
for other people, and getting dealing with that disappointment in certain relationships and hitting a ceiling. Another thing that even begins to happen in that season where I'm still trying to do my best to like kind of like use my achievements to kind of like console me, is, I was initially engaged at that time, end up that being broken off, and so having to process that, and it's
mhm,
like just a lot of things just compounding. It's like I need to get this out. I need to really begin to come into my own and own in that space. And it's like if anything I learned from that is just the power of us, especially as black men, processing your pain,
mhm,
processing it, finding ways to release it, whether that be creative outlets, whether that be just hobbies, but also having people to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important, just like when it comes to just Black men's what's mental well-being. It's like being able to not just feel like you have to show up and
Be
be all these things.
strong.
Yeah.
You
Be all,
can't
yeah.
cry. Right. You got to take care of business. You got to
Yeah.
carry the world on your shoulders. You got to be strong, big back.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't let your emotions show. You're growing up. And if you had a father in your life, 'cause that's people. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You had a father in your life. We're like, don't cry. Grown men don't cry, right? And
Yeah.
so we're faced with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
trauma and things that happen,
Yeah.
and that we got to deal with as we get
Yeah.
older.
We're used to being survivors.
Used to being survivors. That's right, and figuring out how to survive. Do you think the music industry does a good job at mental health for
No.
artists,
No.
producers, creatives?
I don't think so. I think that's something you have to build within yourself or with the community of people, because the thing is, this industry is built on what you can produce and how well you are performing. Some of these relationships that you're building are based on the fact of what you can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so even just being able to recognize that, because it's like these people that say they're your friends, it's like they're not. They may like you. They may have an affinity. They may have some things that
Mm-hmm.
there's some common things y'all can connect and relate to. At the same time, that person may be more so of a colleague in that space and everything than an actual friend, and
Right.
that becomes important to even recognize. And if you don't have those type of boundaries or that type of language to be able to categorize relationships, that can hurt you when things get hard. And then also, there's always that pressure to perform just because of everything is so data driven nowadays, with the fact that these tech companies have now taken over a lot of the creative space. And so numbers begin to can make people feel great about themselves and not so great about
Vanity.
themselves. And so yeah, because interesting enough, I think this year I did my show for my last album, and so it's sold out. At the same time, the venue space only held about 40 people. And if an artist was to see 40 people listen to their music, they would be frustrated.
They would be. Only 40 people?
But seeing 40 people in a room feels so different.
I think that's I think that's the thing people don't get, because we are so conditioned to look at numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to take those numbers and put an actual body in a space to physically see it, it will change the entire landscape of how our paradigm of how we see things. There's 40 people in a room.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, I only got 100 listeners. We'll put them 100 people in the room.
Yeah.
And you'll see like, oh, I only got 1,000 subscribers. We'll put them in the room and see what 1,000 people look like.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, whoa, hold on, that's 1,000 people looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people think about, because we just see, oh man, there was only 40 people that showed up. But 40 people is a lot of people when you put them in a room.
Yeah. 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 And so and I think that's such an important thing to remember, is just like having the right perspective. And even this is why I say it's like mental health for the industry is like, that's not their job.
It's not their job.
Their job is like these companies, they want to make money.
Use and abuse.
Yeah. So it's like however they can do it, they'll do it.
Yeah. However they can do it, and they'll do it. Not a lot of people come back from bouts of depression or mental health, or a lot of people don't come back from that. So for you, what was the moment, the situation, the timing that said, this is it. I'm ready to step back
Mhm.
into it.
I think just really having good community. I think your social supports are very important. I think I am a big advocate for mental health. I'm a big advocate for therapy and those things. At the same time, your therapist is probably a person that you only see 1 hour out the whole week. And so you're going to need other people that show
Hmm.
up for you on those other days. You say you meet with your therapist on Tuesday. You need someone that can show up that you can hit up on Wednesday, Thursday. You need someone you can hit up on Monday and that is still going to support you. It's like not saying your therapist doesn't support you outside of those days and
Hmm.
everything. It is just like recognizing that having like those spaces that will at least just like listen to you is very helpful as just an individual in general and it help
Hmm.
and finding that sense of freedom because I think that is what really got me back into that space because it's like now that I'm beginning to process these things, I'm feeling that sense of freedom again. And so it's like the creativity just began to show up and come back and it's like it was one of those things that surprised me that it came back, and as it began to come back, it's like, "Okay, what am I telling?" And so that's where the title "Good Morning" comes in is because of this grief of the person I'm now showing up as is not the person that I used to be. This is not the Shane Kid of Student of Life or even Learn to Live. This is a whole different Shane Kid that I'm learning to accept, learning to be, and I'm I'm learning to process. And so that's where all that comes into.
Mm. Why did you say it surprised you?
Yeah. It surprised me because kind of like how I mentioned, it's like 2010 me would have looked at me in a different light at that
Mm.
time of like back in 2022. It's
Hmm.
like who have you become? Like who is this person? Like you're not the, you're not as quote unquote as zealous as you used to be. You're very you're whereas he would have called it like you're not as firm in your in some of your ideas and your thinking whereas like for yeah whereas back then looking hindsight is like I would say I was a little rigid and
Mm.
so yeah in that aspect of it and so have getting into that space of flexibility and being able to have a lot more empathy a lot more perspective that changes you.
Yeah.
That changes
Yeah.
how you experience people and like not willing to people who don't exactly think like you to be not just like look at them as others
Hmm.
or outsiders in that
Hmm.
sense of like wanting to like make them into like, oh, y'all don't have it together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, so that birth, good morning. And just your journey in that perspective.
Mhm.
Your other project, Underground Hope, was inspired by a James Baldwin quote,
Mhm.
right? And um, about hope being invented every day. So when you think about what that means in the context of the world that we live in right now, how does Underground Hope and your philosophy for that album, how does that display itself in the musical context today?
Yeah. I think today, hope is a very subversive attitude, which speaks into the whole underground concept because the other part of that is like giving it double meaning. It's like it's easy to feel like going into the ground is like the idea of being buried alive versus like the idea is like this is me being planted. And
Mm.
so that is where a lot of it comes from in the sense of like being able to cultivate that sense of hope, being able to grow in that sense of hope. And I think it is a lot of things in this day and age that can make us feel hopeless.
Mhm.
So making the choice to to be hopeful is, it's an act of resistance in my mindset. It's like, because as I've learned, like, hope is something that we can cultivate, and it takes two things. It takes having willpower and it takes having pathways.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so when we find those pathways and we find that willpower, that begins to help us lean into hope instead of like being caught into apathy and despair.
Yeah, it's a mindset,
Hmm.
right? I mean, when you sit back and you think about hope, it's a mindset that we have to carry with us,
Hmm.
uh, that helps shape the way that we see things, the way it shapes our behaviors from when we do things, right? So they know, watching this, that um, I teach Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by
Hmm.
Stephen Covey, and in there was this video that I always love of this nurse who had to take care of an old man, and this old man was real snooty and rude and obnoxious to the nurse
Hmm.
all the time, to where it made the nurse feel horrible the entire time. And she went to a Franklin Covey seminar where Stephen
Hmm.
Covey was presenting. And as he was presenting and talking about this, he said that she stood up in the middle of his presentation and started to give a speech on her own. Like, what do you mean that I can choose my own happiness? He's like, you can choose it. Every day that you wake up, you consciously, through willpower, right?
Hmm.
Through your innate desire to say, nothing that happens today is going to ruin my day.
Hmm.
Like, I control what comes at me and
Yeah.
how I respond to. I feel like I'm teaching a class again, right? And how I respond to the situations and things that take place. Um, and I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing. Even though we
Yeah.
all have bouts with depression and probably
Hmm.
hopelessness, and there's external things that can probably help to um, exponentialize that in some way, we still have the conscious ability to choose.
Hmm.
And I love that, because that's what I said. A lot of people don't come back from it.
Yeah.
They just quit and be like, I'm done with this whole thing. You said this was the album that I'm gonna make sure I say it the right way. You said this album wasn't the project you expected to make. It was the one you needed to make.
Hmm.
What was happening? What else was happening in your life or in the world that pushed the music in that direction?
So, in the midst of course, world, you have just a lot of things politically going on, which it does play into the background. At the same time, personally, what kind of like really shifted the album for me was the loss of my first two children. And so again, my wife my wife was pregnant,
Mm,
and expecting, we're going for the check-in, expecting to hear her heartbeat, and it's like, okay, there's nothing there. And so having to grieve that, having to process that, all those things. And so, and then a few months later, going through another miscarriage. And so it's like, I'm just like, it's one of those things that just like, it did a, just emotionally, it did a number on her and it did a number on me. And so it's, it's actually where one of the songs on that album, Still Waters, comes from, of just like, telling that story, telling my grief,
mm,
telling about those things of like, this is what this is what I'm feeling, and
mhm,
even how I'm just angry, I'm frustrated, I have this sorrow in me at the same time, because uh, coming from a Christian space, it's like you hear all these different platitudes. It's like, even me pushing against that, it's like, I don't see this. It's like, It's like you're still supposed to see God as good. You're still for them like, and I think one of the lines I say in that song is like, they tell me God is good. Well, that seems absurd. It's like I'm just seriously like none of this is fair. None of this,
Mm,
yeah. And even remembering another line, it's like I know Jesus wept. I'm just hoping to believe him.
mm,
And it's like, cause yeah, and so in that aspect of it, it's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it, and so it's like that's that space of like honesty and like recognizing like there's sometimes that you're not feeling it, and when it comes to faith and everything, it's like, I
yes.
don't want, I again, I'm not always like I'm not always happy. I'm not always like positive. Like there are times that I have to wrestle with that tension.
Mm,
And so making space for that. And as I said, that political climate and just that personal climate of just like seeing like how even just people are becoming divisive and all those things. I'm like, I need we there's just a lot of people are just not hopeful right now. And it's like the reason I really speak to it as a political climate is because it's like there was a lot of just like talk of fear on both
mhm.
sides of this thing, and it's like, and I feel like
Always.
the last time we've heard somebody really instill hope was like Obama, even though it's like, yeah, again, I don't like to make him into this like pristine, perfect figure of a
Mhm,
president, but at the same time, I think he was a great communicator, a great person to be able to explain what he was doing.
mhm.
But also, the one thing is he was good at communicating hope, and I think that is what really encourage people to lean into that space. And
Mhm.
I think hope is something that we all need to lean into, not in a like a wishful thinking type of hope,
Right.
but in a hope that is like we believe that we can leave this world better than it has been left for us. We can
Right.
leave something better behind. And so,
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, my man Major.
mhm,
He's a hope dealer,
mhm,
right? And so, I mean, because once again, it is a mindset,
mhm,
and that we can decide if we're hopeful. And there's things that happen in our life that we don't expect for God to allow to happen,
mhm,
that can cause pain to us, and then start to doubt that faith, that happiness, that belief in God. And whether it's the loss of children, whether it's the loss of parent, whether it's separation and divorce, whether it's death, whether it's, that's I, you can tell I am a believer. I love the scripture that talks about how there's nothing that can really separate us,
mhm.
right? Whether it's whatever. Not to go to the whole list, because he he lists a whole stuff in there, but man, that's I'm sure that's tough to deal with, or was tough to deal with. And the question would be now, where are you now?
I would say I'm definitely in a better place in the sense of like I'm not necessarily in a low place. I think the thing is grief is something that you always carry with you. As someone once said, it's like grief is the last act of love that you do for a
Mhm.
person. And the thing is, love for the people that we lost. I'm like, love for my children is never going to end. And so I recognize my grief is something that is always going to be a part of me.
Yeah.
It is something that you don't necessarily eliminate, you integrate to it.
Mm.
It's recognizing like the pain is no longer controlling you. If anything like that, it's like pain's going to be present. It's like it hurt. Like again, losing someone
Yeah.
hurts,
Yep.
and so it's never not going to hurt.
Mm.
Now, how we show up in the world, how we choose to show up and make room for other things. That's a choice of like being able to recognize it's like I can still make room to see other beautiful experiences in my own life and in
Mm-hmm.
the life of others. And
Right.
so I would say that I'm in a place of like I am settled. And so what I mean by that, it's kind of like, yeah, that I'll go with that analogy. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're a tea drinker. I am, and
My wife
so
is.
yeah,
And no, I mean like
mhm,
a connoisseur.
yeah,
Got a
yeah.
whole tea cabinet.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
yeah.
Yes, and so yeah, and so the thing is, of course, it's like you seep your tea leaves.
Mm-hmm.
There's once you let it, you don't necessarily sip it right away because you sip it immediately, it's gonna burn your tongue.
Because it's hot.
Yeah, it's because it's
Crazy
hot.
hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
And so, like, all the all the flavor and everything that is there is still present, but immediately in that moment, it's like it can feel very uncomfortable if you were to consume it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so as it begins to cool down, it's like the flavor is still present. And but now because you let things cool down, it is easier to kind of just be able to sit with it and be able to sip it and be able to navigate the experience of the tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what I mean by I'm in a settled space.
That's a great analogy right there
Yeah.
because you're right. I mean, you got to there's a process for tea to go through in order to
Uh-huh.
you can't just throw the Lipton bag in there.
Yeah.
That's what I do. He laughed at, but that's what I
Yeah.
do. I put the little dip it
Hey.
in there, right? Throw
Yeah.
a bunch of sugar in there, and I'm good. But
Hmm.
my wife was like, "What you doing? Why you destroying the tea?
Yeah.
Like you're not even drinking tea anymore. You drinking something else, and then
Yeah.
you using Lipton. Come on now, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, she got tea from like actual like China. With
Hmm.
I had to show you after this whole thing, or have her show you. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, that's a great analogy to explain that moment right now, based upon all the external things that have happened in your life
Mhm.
to dictate how you respond to those external things. So
Mhm.
that's a great analogy. So when you think about it, even from a music perspective, right? Um, music is very algorithm. You were talking about it earlier, very algorithm driven. Do you think artists that have a message driven music, do you think they have a hard time breaking into the industry compared to those who are maybe trendy or viral seeking?
Mhm.
Do you think they have a harder time in this genre or in this music industry?
I would say definitely they can have a harder time. It's like it also depends on how you define success at times to me also
Mm,
cuz it is one of those things of like recognizing like you can be successful and it's also something that you're going to have to work at, you're going to
mhm,
have to grind at, and it's also one of those things of like where there's that hard work piece but also just some of like that opportunity, luck, whatever you may call it, like good fortune that has to happen to you to be able to kind of like catapult you to sometimes certain places for really just a lot of artists because it's like, yeah, you can put in your 10,000 hours, you can put in all those things and still be very talented. At the same time, if people aren't checking for you or you haven't found the right place for people to check for you, it's
mm,
like it's not going to work out. And I think some things are just a little bit more easierly accessible for people at times because depending on because like there's a lot more people that are wanting music that's just kind of like entertaining for them.
mhm,
I think people do want stories, but just the way that we kind of like have cultivated music is like it has become more background for a lot of people.
mhm.
And so it is just about like what is going to really grab my attention versus like something I may have to like really like sit with and listen through a couple times before I grasp it, which I think that's still a space that can be rewarded
Mm-hmm.
because I think there are a lot of artists that I do know that are getting rewarded for that space of like, clever in-depth storytelling and all
Yeah,
those things.
Like J. Cole.
Yeah.
Y'all know how I feel about J.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
and so I think just like that, like Cole on just like on the higher tier of level, and then on more of the underground tier is a guy Sky Zoo, who I
yeah,
think
Skyzoo. Yeah.
he's
My man,
very
he, AJ works with Skyzoo a lot.
hmm
So
yeah.
yeah.
I think and I think he's been he's very well revered, well respected in the space, and
Yeah,
so
for
it's like
sure.
like a lot of people don't know his name like they do
I
J
don't know.
Cole, like.
I don't know. A
Like,
lot, well, maybe not like J. Cole, but a
yeah,
lot of
that's what
people
I
know
mean. Yeah,
Skyzoo.
yeah,
Yeah.
they know Sky.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, a good amount of people know Sky Zoo, but I'm like compared to like
Kendrick or somebody.
Kendrick Cole,
Yeah.
like those guys, that's not like an immediate name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Skyzoo is dope though.
yes, he is.
Dope, like super dope. I need to get him on the show. AJ,
hmm
let's make it happen, brother. So I'm gonna reach out to you to make it happen. But so do you? There was a question I was gonna ask. You were talking about something before I interrupt and talk about J Cole, but there was something you had stated that I wanted to ask about. Now I can't remember what I wanted to ask because my whole brain went into a whole completely different thing. Um, my brain does that once in a while, but as you let me see, can I remember what it was? Now I'm getting older, so you know how you lose your memory, you can't remember a lot of stuff. But I can't remember what it was. But there was something I was like, oh man, I want to ask that question, but now I can't remember what it was. But so let me ask you this: so for independent artists that are trying to balance authenticity, their message, and building a career, what specific lessons have you learned the hard way that you wish someone told you earlier?
Something that I wish that someone would have told me earlier is really work on building your team. I feel like because you think that, you know, you have people around you that are doing well, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, or even people that will rock with you, it's like, yeah, like that's the way to do it. Like, especially just like when I started out, like cosigns mattered in one sense. I
Mm.
feel like nowadays cosigns don't necessarily matter. I think having a good team matters more of like people that will support you in that space because of the things that you have that I would say you have to do as an artist in 2026.
Mhm.
It's like, being present on social media, having having some content for people to see. At the same time, I think just a sidebar to that, it's like content doesn't necessarily mean you have to like create some challenge or dance or anything like that. So
Exactly.
at the same time, just being able to learn how to tell your story, it becomes very important. I
Right.
think also that's the other thing I would tell people. It's like, okay, what is it about your story that makes you unique from everybody else? There is like it is, if anything, beginning to discover that what is that makes you you. You may not have it, you may not know it right now,
Mhm.
but beginning to figure out, it's like, okay, what is going to be like the thing, like if you come and hear me, this is what you're getting, and you're not necessarily going to get that from someone else,
Mhm.
or because it's like, again, there are a lot of people that tell stories. There are a lot of in hip hop. At the same time,
Shoot, not today. No, but I'm just,
yeah, yeah,
no, they do.
yeah.
They do. They do.
At the same time, when it comes to like someone like myself, it's like you're not going to get someone who's going to tell you a story in a way that weaves not just like my faith, but also just black consciousness, even just like some of my own personal quirks. Again, you're gonna get a few black nerd bars and everything, and
What does that
everything.
mean?
Oh, black nerd bars. So like think like superheroes, all those type of things.
Mm.
Like so, I think I think one of the people pointed out to me in song off the Underground Hope. So Muddy Waters, it talks about, I say the line, it says, gotta make my own path, hope I choose the right thing. The people love Robin, not the biggest fan of Nightwing. So
Mhm.
if you know superhero comics,
Mhm.
you know who Nightwing is.
Right.
Nightwing is who Dick Grayson grows up to be
Right.
being. It's like he's more famous for being Batman's sidekick than being his own
Own
hero.
hero
So
Nightwing.
it's
Right.
like that is what that whole line is actually conveying.
Mm.
It's like you were so well known because of who you were associated with that now as you're stepping onto your own, it can feel like
Yeah.
you're kind of like on your own, and
Mhm.
you're having to as you're trying to stand by yourself and and be your own person.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's dope. That's dope because Damien is. I mean, I don't like Damien as much as I like Dick Grayson,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, that's because he got an attitude about
Yeah.
about the stuff.
He
But
does.
I will say that the fight that was a dope fight between
Hmm.
him and Batman. Wasn't on the roof, I think,
No.
and he was like, "What you gonna do?" And he expect Bruce to fight him back,
Yeah.
but he
Yeah.
they went to town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would say I'm black nerd in some way. Got like anime and
Yeah.
cartoons and yeah, video games. I was playing Call of Duty. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
that's something different. But no, I think that's important because we sometimes have to reflect back and think about if I knew those things then, where kind of would my trajectory be today?
Hmm.
And a lot of times you probably wouldn't change those things because those lessons are what shapes you,
Hmm.
right? Those lessons are what root you into the music that you're in, right? You were talking earlier. I remember the question. You were talking earlier about 10,000 hours. Do you think
Hmm.
that today, and the age that we live in today, with AI and technology and the advancement of all these things, that 10,000 hours is still something that we need to hold to as a standard?
I say I would say yes, in the sense of like, especially being an artist, like that's something you still need to hold yourself to. I think yes, AI is a tool. I think some people can use it rightly in various ways. So I think it can help artists to get to that 10,000 hours, because some of the things that you may have to do that are secondary things, you can begin to figure out easier pathways to get to those things.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can use again, I can use chat to help me figure out like, okay, what are some opportunities I need to think through? What are some ideas I may need to consider,
Mm,
and all those things? And it's like beginning to use it more so as a tool instead of it allowing it to be like the crutch that you lean on. It's like you're not
yeah.
using chat to write your bars. You're not
Yeah.
using chat to
Well,
like basically create your songs for you. If anything,
I hope not.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Some are,
Some
sadly.
are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They creating the whole song,
and it shows. But yeah,
the whole thing. I need to write my verse and be
yeah.
like hippity hippity doopity doopity. That's what I'm like.
Oh
Y'all
man,
need to not use ChatGPT to write y'all lyrics, bro. I'm
nah,
like,
no, no.
use real,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Use your
dome
yeah,
to do
because
it.
it's like because you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not
Mhm.
growing yourself as a writer, as a creator in that sense, because that's if you really take this as an art form. Because if this is for some people, this is a money grab for
Oh
them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, of course,
If it's a money grab, it's easy for me to jump in Suno, have ChatGPT write my lyrics,
yeah,
and put out music
yeah,
because I'm only concerned about getting the bag. I don't care about the art itself. And if I don't care about the art,
Yeah.
I'm just going to exploit it for whatever it is and just do what I want to do it so I can reap the benefits,
Yeah.
but put them in a room.
Hmm.
And that's what I tell people. My wife and I, we have these conversations all the time because you got like a lot of gurus that are out here
Yeah.
today that think they know because they've been using Chat GPT to educate themselves, but put them in a situation where they really got to showcase that,
Yeah.
or a panel or a speaking engagement, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all stop using Chat GPT to make yourself sound smart when you're not. No, stop when
Yeah.
you're not. but but man, so Shane, what's next, man? What's
Mhm.
next for you? What's on the horizon? What's coming up? What can we look forward to?
So definitely something that hopefully this year y'all can look forward to is I'm working on a collaboration project with another artist, Czar Josh, and so we're beginning the we're in the early phases of it, and so hopefully we'll be able to drop it this year. Something that I can say with a little more confidence is another thing that me and him do collab on is a Juneteenth event that we do called Love and Liberation. So we're going to be doing that for our third year, and so
Oh.
continuing to have just like local artists and local vendors just come out to come together, just celebrating again Black joy and that aspect of it. And so those are those are some things I can say that are on the horizon for
Mhm.
me. If again, because I know it's like, of course, it is about what is next, but also other things that are kind of on the horizon is me still leaning into this last album, doing stuff for it.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking through like, okay, how do we continue to tell the story of Underground Hope? Because it's like I think that is a story that is worth telling, especially as I said, in this day and age. It's like that idea of hope, and so so that's a little something I'm holding a little more close to the chest right now because I
Mhm.
want to make sure like anything that I communicate with that I know it's actually going to come to fruition.
Mm.
So, but
I was about to say
yeah,
something. I'm glad I ain't say. I was like, hey, you probably could do. I'm glad I ain't say something
yeah,
because yeah. Because when people say stuff, I get ideas about,
hmm,
oh, Underground Hope. I could see what you could do. Mm, Yeah, and I don't want to.
yeah,
Maybe I'll tell you off camera. That way,
okay,
people don't. Like you said this, but yeah. Always got ideas.
yeah,
But man, it was a pleasure, brother.
hmm,
Pleasure to get to know you, to walk through your journey, to learn more about you, to reestablish some of those connections that we've had that you
hmm,
may not have known that existed.
yeah,
But
definitely,
man, where can people find you? How can they connect with you and
yeah,
listen to your music?
yeah. So whatever social media that you have, you can find me on this handle, Shane Shane. That's it, and then Kid Kidd 86. And so I'm mainly on Instagram, so I will let you know that I do post on my other platforms, just not as much. So if you really want to get connected, that and then also wherever you go, there's a link tree. So definitely become part of the mailing list. So because I'm going to be more active, at least like doing monthly updates on what's going on behind the scenes. So those are just a few ways to tap into me. And then my music is on all streaming platforms, so you can check me out anywhere that and just type in my name, Shane Kidd, and you'll be able to hear my music.
Yeah, that's what's up,
So yeah,
man. Y'all make sure y'all go support. Y'all know how we are about supporting indies and ensuring that we build this community of support for one another, and it's very important. So make sure y'all go out, go to the Instagram, go to the link tree, follow, listen to the music, right? Go check out all the different projects, and just support. But man, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much for being here. I'm of course your host, Bevon. It was a great pleasure to have Shane Kidd with us today. And look forward to seeing another interview that we do down the line. Make sure y'all tune into the podcast every Friday that we do. So whether it's in person or live, but y'all make sure y'all tap in with and support the Indie Unplugged, right? Because we are here for the independent music creators to give a voice, to give a platform to the independent community, independent space. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Peace out.